Back in 2012, in LA, Mercedes introduced the first concept-style coupe, a model positioned between the Mercedes C-Class and the A-Class. The next year, Mercedes decided to make it available to the market. It first started to sell them in Europe and then later on in North America. The CLA is Mercedes' first ever front-wheel drive sedan and the first front-wheel drive vehicle offered by the manufacturer in the United States. The CLA became a hit after its launch. It sold hundreds and thousands of units in Western Europe and North America. I personally have seen many of the CLA models on the road. I know at least 6 people that own one. It has become a hit and very popular. In the meantime, BMW was watching carefully the CLA success, so they decided to bring their own version. For today's video, we have the 2020 2 Series Gran Coupe. It is the direct competitor for the Mercedes CLA. For today's video, I want to find out how does the 2 Series Gran Coupe compares to the CLA. Is it any better? Is it any different? And of course, we're going to talk about trims and prices. Later on, I'll take them for a test drive and see how they do on the road. And of course, we'll do our usual test, the cabin noise test, to see which one it is better isolated. And of course, we're going to take them on a highway and normal roads to see how they handle. These two beauties are provided to us thanks to our great partners at Performance Mercedes, located in St. Catherine, Ontario, and Performance BMW, located in St. Catherine, Ontario as well. They're kind enough to let me compare these two, and I believe this is probably the first video ever comparison between these two models. Keep in mind that the CLA on my left side, it is the 2020 model, so that way we get to explore the new CLA and find out how it compares to the 2020 2 Series Gran Coupe. If you want to know more about these two dealerships, the link will be in the description box if you want to take either or for a test drive. And of course, their Instagram or Facebook will be below in the description box. And if you have any questions, don't forget to leave a comment below. At the same time, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe because we have a lot more comparisons coming up in the future. And of course, if you want to know more about the next comparison, follow me on Instagram where I usually post the upcoming videos. Now, let us compare these two vehicles. The 2 Series Gran Coupe has positioned itself very well in terms of pricing. In Canada, the price for the Gran Coupe is less than $500 compared to the Mercedes CLA. And of course, that applies to the US buyers as well. The only difference is that Mercedes in the US offers a front-wheel drive option, which of course it is less expensive compared to the Gran Coupe Xdrive. The Gran Coupe is offered in 2 models. You got the 228i, which is the one that we have for today's video, which it is equipped with an Xdrive system, or you can pick the 235i Xdrive, which of course it is more expensive and more powerful. The Mercedes CLA has a larger menu. It offers a standard front-wheel drive, a CLA 250, which of course is only offered in the States at the moment, and of course the CLA 254 Matic, of course it is an all-wheel drive system. If you want it, well, you can spice it up with the CLA 35 AMG or the CLA 45 AMG. Whether you pick the CLA or the BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe, all the trims come with the standard engine, of course tuned with more horsepower. They offer 4-cylinder turbocharged under the hood. The BMW Gran Coupe under the hood has a 4-cylinder inline turbocharged engine that makes 7 horsepower more than the CLA. Of course, a big win for the 2 Series, but that will actually be noticed once we take it on a road for a test drive and see the difference. The BMW offers a standard 8-speed automatic transmission or an 8-speed sport automatic transmission with pedals. The Mercedes offers a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, and it offers a 4-matic all-wheel drive which incorporates a 4-wheel electronic traction system, also called the 4ETS, which monitors the first sign of wheel slip, and it responds to make sure that the torque is sent to the wheels. That way you get the best grip, even if it's only one wheel. What about dimensions? How do they compare? The 2 Series Gran Coupe is 178.2 inches long. It is 70.9 inches wide and 55.9 inches tall. Its wheelbase measures at 105.1 inches. The Mercedes, on the other hand, well, it's a little bit bigger than that. It is 72 inches wide, 184.60 inches long, of course longer than the Gran Coupe, and it has a wheelbase of 107.40 inches, and of course the longer wheelbase compares to the Gran Coupe. A longer vehicle and of course a longer wheelbase, that means you got a little bit more space. The CLA will offer you 13.1 cubic feet of space, meanwhile the 2 Series Gran Coupe slightly less than that, at 12 cubic feet of space. It is not a major difference, but because the dimensions that the CLA offers, of course, offer you a little bit more of leg room, which we'll test it out in a minute once I get inside in the second row seat and find out how different it is from the Gran Coupe. At the same time, if you want it, of course, in both vehicles, you can fold the seats in the second row. That way you get a little bit more space. Okay, let's see how easy it is to get in. The seat in the front is positioned in a way that I am the driver. Okay, a bit tight in here. As you can see, my head is actually touching the roof, and in order for me to get more access, I have to push this forwards because the leg room, it's kind of tight and a little bit uncomfortable. In order for me to actually be comfortable, I have to move my head and tilt a little bit. That way I get some more space. Now, in terms of technology in here, well, you don't get anything crazy. You got 2 air vents into the center. And of course, this one comes with a suede interior, if you like that. And you have your lock and unlock button. But when it comes to space, not so comfortable. Now, let's jump into the 2 Series and let's see how that does. Okay, well, this feels tighter. Okay, this is tough. It's actually not that good. Now, keep in mind that most people are not 6'2" feet like myself. I am pretty tall, so that's definitely not a good choice if I had to pick this. It is, of course, a smaller vehicle from a standard that It is, of course, a smaller vehicle compared to a standard sedan. One thing I noticed with the BMW as well is that it has a beautiful panoramic roof that goes all the way from here, that goes all the way to here. Meanwhile, the Mercedes is only up to there. But in comfort mode, not so much. This one does offer air vents at the bottom. And it has a window switch in here, but it doesn't offer any lock button for the door. But as you can see, not so comfortable. I'm actually gonna hurt my neck, so I'm gonna come out. Okay, that's tough. Ugh. Now, in terms of technology, they're very similar, not too far from each other. The BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe has the same design as the new BMWs, like the X7 and the 3 Series. It's just things are smaller and some, of course, less features than the other vehicles offer. So, for example, this one will offer you heated seats. And, of course, it has a touch screen infotainment system. At the same time, you have the scroll button in here with touch option, and we have the normal shift knob. As you can see, it offers wireless charging pad. It has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The climate unit is very standard like the 3 Series. You have the little screen in the center with temperature and the fan speed. In terms of the steering wheel, this has a standard steering wheel. It offers the actual heated steering wheel. In terms of the As far as the cluster, it is digital screen, and it does not offer any heads-up display. Now, this vehicle doesn't have the paddle shifter option, which I would have loved to, but that is with extra charge, of course, but it is not equipped. Now, this is, of course, the top trim. You can pick the 2028i. You could, of course, add more features, which will cost you more. Now onto the interior for the Mercedes CLA. First of all, We have a new fresh look on the exterior. It's the same thing in the interior. We have a beautiful display, of course, that starts from the left side where the cluster is and ends all the way to the right where the infotainment system display is located. A new design. This vehicle is equipped with paddle shifters, and this has the AMG package. Now for the BMW, you can pick the M package, which will give you better seats and at the same time extra features and the paddle shifters as well, which of course will cost you more. Now, in terms of technology, they share a lot of things in common. So, for example, they have wireless charging pad, they have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, heated seats, 360 camera, and so on. The BMW offers that scroll button to the center to control the infotainment system. Mercedes offers touchscreen and, of course, the actual touchpad into the center here, which you can control, and it is touch. So if you don't want to touch the screen when you're driving, you can do so from here. Easy access. At the same time, they offer sport modes, comfort mode, and eco modes. The design of the Mercedes overall is more luxurious rather than sporty style. The BMW offers that sporty feeling inside. The steering wheel is designed that way, the cluster, and of course the overall shape of the actual dashboard. The seats for the Mercedes have the suede option, which of course for this model that we have for today's video actually has the AMG package. Therefore you get this beautiful suede which continues onto the door into this area and the rear side as well. One thing that I don't like very much about the Mercedes, and of course that is my preference, it's the actual gear knob. The BMW has it in the center, which for me I find it easy to use. This has it in here, which continues with other Mercedes model. It is their signature design, and they've used it in other vehicles as well. So if you're used to it, that's probably not going to be a problem. I personally would have preferred an actual shift knob, just easy access, and it is faster. Now, it's time to take this two for a test drive and see how they do on the roads. As I mentioned previously, we'll do the cabin noise test as well and see how the driver assistant package performs on a highway. If you haven't subscribed by now, please do so because I have more comparisons coming up. At the same time, don't forget to hit the notification bell for upcoming videos. Now, let's go for a drive. And I'm going to take first the BMW 2 Series and then the CLA and compare them. Okay, we're taking the BMW first for a test drive. Oh, it is in sport mode. Okay, let's put it in comfort mode. Now the BMW produces about 7 horsepower more, and it will do 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds instead of 6.3 like the Mercedes. One thing that surprised me, the Mercedes, that online it shows that the Matic and the front wheel drive vehicle do 0 to 60 within the same time. That's a bit strange because front wheel drive and all wheel drive are a bit different. Usually front wheel drive cars struggle compared to all wheel drive because better grip, but that really surprised me. Anyways, it was on their website and I found it interesting to mention. Now, one thing I like about this BMW to begin with is the actual climate control. It's so easy in here because Mercedes has it sort of hidden at the bottom. I find it better here, and you have the little temperature in there that tells you the fan speed and so on. Very good design in the center. I wish this thing came with a pedal shifter so that way we can do a test in manual how they compare. Now I can't put it in manual, it's just that this is not the same transmission that they used in the one in the Sport with pedal shifters basically. Now, when it comes to brakes, both vehicles will offer you big brake kit. You just have to purchase them separately. The BMW we have for today's video doesn't have it, just single piston in the front standard. The same thing with the Mercedes, but if you want it, you can upgrade to a bigger one. If you get the M package, they usually come with the brakes, but of course that will come with extra cost. But if you want it, you could probably go for it. The 235 Gran Coupe will actually offer you the big brake. It will offer you the big the 235 Gran Coupe, it will actually offer you the big brake kit because it is part of the entire package. Okay, since we are entering the highway, let me turn off the fan completely, and then so we can do our noise test. And let's put in manual transmission into sport, and then sport drive as well. Oh, okay, the difference was there. interesting. Oh, this is pretty good. Okay. Okay, this is an interesting car. I can hear the engine a lot more in here than I do in the Beamer, and I can hear that turbo whistle a little bit more than I do in the Beamer. Very unique to this Mercedes compared to the Beamer. Absolutely love the cluster in this thing. Those dials are just sporty and performance looking. Love them, absolutely love them. Great design on the Mercedes for this. The overall interior in the Mercedes feels luxurious compared to the BMW. You notice that right away. You got this massive fan vents in here that look like the back of a jet plane. Pretty interesting design. And then you have more on to the left and you have another one to the right sides. Pretty cool. Kind of looks like that Kia Stinger in the middle, since it has those three vents looking like this, round vents. And then you have the interior ambient light as well around the actual vents. A crazy design. I love it. Very futuristic compared to the Beamer. The BMW, it's more like a sporty design, more settled, not like whoa when you get inside. In here you get in and you notice the interior right away. Very different from the previous model. This model required that update immediately, and Mercedes is able to deliver now. We get a beautiful cluster, the infotainment system, everything just works perfectly. Okay, let's try in manual mode. Downshift. Even though these two cars don't make a lot of horsepower, compared to other vehicles that I have reviewed, like standards sedans, these things are pretty impressive. They do a great job. Now, the Mercedes with this package that we have uses an actual dual clutch transmission, 7-speed. The BMW uses an 8-speed automatic transmission. The one that we had didn't have the actual pedal shifter, so I wasn't able to actually try, but even the BMW offers a dual clutch transmission. Now let's put it into drive mode instead of... You can have a lot of fun with these cars. They're pretty good for what they offer. Okay, let's put in a comfort mode. You can have so much fun. You don't need more horsepowers, honestly. I'm sure you can probably upgrade to the AMG one if you wanted to spice it up a little, but even with this, what it offers, this thing is a lot of fun. And that dual clutch transmission, it is smooth. Okay, let's put it into comfort mode. And we did the cabin noise test for the Mercedes. It is at 66.1. Meanwhile, the BMW was at 66.9. So a very slight difference. Of course, that has to do a little bit more with the traffic, but it's not a huge difference. I do feel like the Mercedes, it is slightly quieter. I do feel like the Mercedes, it is slightly quieter. I do feel that the Mercedes feels quiet inside compared to the BMW, even when I have traffic around me. Right now it's a mild traffic, it's not a very heavy traffic at the moment, but they're pretty good inside when it comes to isolation. So as you saw, they're actually not too far from each other. So I did the test on the BMW, and it's similar to this. It doesn't necessarily keep you within the lanes very precisely, but it will still make sure you don't steer left and right. It kind of bounces left and right, as you can see right now. So right now I don't have my hands in the steering wheel, and it is moving a bit left and right, so it's not keeping you within the lanes, but it will make sure that you don't go off onto a different lane. So that's something to keep in mind. They're very similar, they're not very far from each other. They both offer similar safety features. You get the cross traffic alerts, forward collision warning, you have blind spot assist in both cars. They both offer similar safety features. To wrap up everything, both two vehicles offer different design, they offer different style, they offer similar technology and almost the same price. It's all about which one do you like the most and which one do you prefer in terms of design. I think BMW has brought out something very interesting and very competitive with the CLA, but they still have some work to do in order to compete with the CLA. With that in mind, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and special thanks for this video goes to Performance BMW and, of course, Performance Mercedes. They're both located in St. Catherine, Ontario. If you want to know more about them, the link will be in the description box. That was it for today. Cheers.